guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. Today I'm going to do another flick picks because I've been thinking a lot about this movie, and it's one of those movies that just kind of like, once I saw it, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've probably seen it a few times since then. And that is The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. Now, it centers around, obviously, Donkey Kong, and I'm a big fan of Donkey Kong. I mean, I've always loved the game. If I have a console or a system, I definitely pick up the cartridge so I can play it on that system. And, you know, it just goes way back to, like, when I first had my Intellivision, and I used to love playing Donkey Kong on the Intellivision, even though it's not really a big favorite to most fans. But, yeah, so recently I've been thinking a little bit about this movie. I mean, it came out in 2007, so it's, you know, at this point, it's 10 years old. But it really, like, I can't really describe, because it actually hits on a lot of, like, great pieces of arcade history. And, I mean, it really centers around two people. Steve Wiebe, who is trying to become the Donkey Kong champion of the day. And I guess you could say his opponent would be Billy Mitchell, who was the one, obviously, holding the current record of the time, and was holding it for about 25 years, like since the 80s. So you really get a sense of these two people going at it. But the movie's much more than that. I mean, there's a lot more going on, and they actually dive further into the arcade life and, you know, what it was like to be in the arcades in those days, and just the joy that people get out of playing them. And, you know, I have a lot of memories of playing in arcades, and I often wonder, you know, what's better, the arcade or the console? And you know, you get the arcade, you get that feeling like you're around people, you get to play these games, whereas, you know, a console, you're at home, unless you have a bunch of friends with you, it's kind of, you know, you're alone, so you lose the social atmosphere of it. Whereas, you know, and I'm not saying that the arcades are gone, I mean, they do exist, just not to the way they used to be. Although, you know, where I am, there isn't a whole lot of retro style arcades, but there are some in the States. So, you know, they still do live. I'm not near me anyways. So anyways, yeah, I just wanted to talk about the movie or documentary, because it was one of those things where when I was watching it, I was just kind of like, you know, it kept me through the whole movie. I was just like, I just loved watching it. There was so much going on. There was so much information. And it was just interesting watching these two kind of guys. And technically, I mean, they don't really square off. Like, you never see them actually go head-to-head or anything. It's mostly about Steve Wiebe and his journey to say, you know what, I want to make my mark. I want to practice this game. I'm going to get good at it. And then I'm going to, you know, take the #1 spot. And, you know, try and get into the Guinness Book of World Records. And it's also about the Twin Galaxies scoreboard, which, you know, they are like the #1 scoreboard out there for video games. If you want to leave your mark in the video game world, you have to get on their scoreboard. It's run by Walter Day, which you get to see in the documentary. I keep wanting to call it movie, but it's a documentary. And, you know, you get to learn a little bit about the history of what Walter set up and why he set it up. And, you know, he's obviously got a passion for the games. He's got a passion for the whole industry. And, you know, actually in the movie, documentary, in the documentary, you actually see a part where they become recognized by the Guinness Book of Records, which is kind of neat. I mean, that's you know, it just shows that they're actually the authority on video games. And they do run through that process of what it takes if you want to get your record up there. I mean, it's not simple as sending in a screenshot or just telling them, hey, I got 10 billion points on X game. No, you actually have to film it. And the amazing thing is, these people that can do this, it's not just, oh, I'm going to set up my camera and just, you know, play the game and then it's done. It's hours. Like, I mean, you're playing for hours, and it's dedication. It's not just simply plug it in and just whip a game off and then say, hey, I won, send it in. Like, there's scenes where Steve Wiebe is sitting there playing and playing and playing, and you can actually hear his kid in the background, you know, Daddy, come upstairs, Daddy. It's kind of funny because it hits people like me because I've been in the same boat where I'm playing a game, I'm really deep into it, and my kid's like, "Daddy, come upstairs" or something. It's like, uh oh, I'm trying to get somewhere in this game, but this is where the real seriousness of it comes in. The dedication that it takes. If you want to have a record up there, you have to have the dedication. I mean, short of locking yourself in some locked room and putting a do not disturb sign, it's very difficult to spend that kind of hours, especially if you're a family guy. If you have like wife, kids, or a job and stuff, like you have life, right? So to be able to dedicate that amount of time to a video game, especially something like Donkey Kong, where I mean it's one of the hardest games as far as like the classic arcade style goes. I mean it's brutal, and actually there's a scene where Billy Mitchell talks about it, and he says like it's just pure brutality, like it's just barrels coming down at you. You never know where they're going to go. There's only so much you can create a pattern, and there's going to be that random barrel that will just hit you. And like even myself, I'm not that great of a Donkey Kong player, so I don't boast myself as saying I'm really great at Donkey Kong, because I'm not. I just like playing it. And I remember I actually was playing on the PC. I downloaded the arcade version just to play it, and I didn't get very far. I mean, I was just like, I think I got to like three, three rounds of it. I don't even think I actually made it that far, because each round is like you go to the first level to the second level, and then you go back to the first level, and you got to work your way up. And yeah, I mean it's a really difficult game. So I had a lot of respect watching this movie and seeing how Steve Wiebe actually like he put a lot of work into this. Like he didn't just sit down and go, I'm going to be good at Donkey Kong. And so the rest of the documentary, it's really, I mean, his journey to get down to this fun spot where he can actually challenge in person what he hopes to challenge is Billy Mitchell. And the way they make it seem like Billy Mitchell doesn't care. And I don't know if this is true. I mean, I've read a lot of chatter. I've read some, stuff on the internet. You never know what you're going to read on the internet and how much of it's going to be true. But, I mean, the way the documentary makes it seem like is Billy Mitchell just doesn't even care too much about Steve Wiebe trying to beat his record. And he doesn't even really give him the time of day. And Steve Wiebe's there. He's traveled all the way from Washington to, I think it's Florida, I think. Could be wrong. And he's wanting to challenge. He actually wants to challenge, and he sits there live in person trying to beat Donkey Kong. And you never see Billy Mitchell ever come up to him or talk to him or anything. Now, this could be clever editing. This could be, they did it on purpose. Who knows, right? I mean, only Steve Wiebe and Billy Mitchell and, the people who made the film will know the real truth, right? But, I mean, the way they do it, it keeps you going. It's interesting that you're watching these two guys, like, kind of, I'm going to beat your record. And he's like, no, you're not. And you can kind of see him in the background. You can see Billy Mitchell walk by, and he's just like... And, so there's a few more, scenes where they show other video games and other people going for world records. There's actually, there's a touching moment where they talk about Doris Self, this lady who is, like, their oldest competitor for Qbert. And, she's a sweet old lady. They even give her a Qbert cabinet for her own, and there's a lot of talk, and sadly at the end they say that she did pass away, and I think she passed away before they actually got the film finished. But I mean, it's great that they were able to put that little touching tribute in there. And there's a few other things. They actually show the guy who has to go through the tapes of all of the people submitting. And he talks about, a marathon game of Nibbler. And he had, like, a couple of tapes that he had to just watch hours and hours and hours and hours of this guy playing this arcade game called Nibbler. And I don't know how you could do that without losing your mind. I mean, that just... to just sit there and watch. And he's got to look for anything that could look like a cheat, anything that could look like, he tried to roll back the time, and flickers and editing tricks and all that stuff. So, I mean, they really get into that, and they show you what is happening and why, how they actually put somebody into the scoreboard. And then, you know, like later on, they kind of show Billy Mitchell actually coming back when Steve Wiebe kind of beats his score. Billy Mitchell has a tape and he's ready to defend himself. So there's a little bit of that going on as well. I mean, really, I mean the movie itself, it's really well done for a documentary, and it really kept me going, and I really enjoyed it. And I think if anybody's into like the classic arcades, if they're into the old video games, retro games, or anything like that, it's definitely something I would suggest you get your hands on. Unfortunately, I don't actually have a physical copy of it. I saw it on like our local movie network channel, those pay channels, and like when I first read about it, I you know started searching for it, and I found that it was on, and I had to watch it. But I've just never found the movie itself in the store. But if I ever do, I'll definitely pick it up because it's definitely something I gotta have in my collection. And then, you know, just as a fun note too, the movie Pixels. If you watch that, the scene or the characters in that movie kind of resemble what's going on in this movie. So Peter Dinklage's character, he's obviously portraying Billy Mitchell. He's got the same kind of hair, the kind of the hairstyle. He's got the Donkey Kong world record, and Adam Sandler is the one who's fighting for the record. So it's kind of funny that Pixels actually sort of spoofed this, but not really. I mean, it's obviously went in a totally different direction, but you can tell it's what they were doing and what they were intending. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because it was one of my, it's one of my favorite movies as far as video gaming, documentaries, and the fact that it is a documentary, it's not just a portrayal of the characters, so you actually see the real people, and it's cool. I really enjoyed it, and even if it was only centered around Donkey Kong, I still would have enjoyed it. Anyways, yeah, so I hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think, if you've ever watched The King of Kong, or if you like Donkey Kong, or if you like the classics, and yeah, I'd like to hear your feedback on that. It's a really interesting topic, and I like to talk about retro video games, obviously. So yeah, love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.